Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to the greatest business channel on YouTube, NGB Business News, where we pretty much do commentary on news. And I've got a good and special one here for you guys today, because I know we love talking about Biden. You know, we love Sleepy Joe over here at the channel, and we love to talk about what's going on with his presidency. And you know, Joe Biden right now has this IRA Act, Inflation Reduction Act, and apparently it's having some consequences for Europe, I'm seeing. So we're gonna basically get into the article. I'm not gonna hold you guys up. Like, comment, subscribe, and everything like that. I love all the love that you guys have been showing the channel lately. The views have been going crazy, and I appreciate that. But let's see what's going on with Sleepy Joe and how Europe is being affected by this Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, so this article says Biden's IRA has left Europe blindsided, and playing catch up could lead to two big mistakes. Very interesting. Obviously, we know there is that amazing man, Joe Biden. Look at him squinting in the sun, because he, his vision probably isn't that good. Let's keep it a stack. But let's see what's going on with Mr. Sleepy Joe. Now, it says the European Union is working against the clock to create a program to rival President Joe Biden's unprecedented climate subsidies, but it'll face two issues in the process. Interesting. So basically, they're trying to come up with something that's kind of like the IRA. The EU had for a long time asked the United States to be more active on climate policy. Biden delivered on that with the Inflation Reduction Act, but it has raised competition issues for European businesses, which has upset politicians in that region. Brussels has been left considering how best to respond. So this is a pretty interesting situation, because it seems like the EU almost bit off more than they could chew. They asked Joe Biden to, in the United States to come in and, start making more climate policy. What did they do? They responded by creating more climate policy. And then they realized, oh, hold on, this is making it a little bit tough for our businesses over here. We're not sure if we necessarily like this, but let's see what they got to say about this. Now, they say U.S. legislation doesn't pass overnight. Imre Peker, director at the consultancy group Eurasia, told CNBC, adding that the EU could have added faster. Now, it says the EU was asleep at the wheel with 28 representations in Washington. Europeans could have done more to counteract the IRA before its adoption. So he's essentially saying, hey, you guys have representatives speaking in Washington. You guys knew this bill was coming. You guys knew, or this act was coming. You guys were able to see everything that was involved in it, all the stipulations inside of this act. So if you were trying to act, if you were trying to act, he's saying, why didn't you try to do it then? Why didn't you notice these problems now? It's almost like after the fact, now you want to complain. Now, this looks like it's getting into a little bit of what it does. Now, the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act, also referred to as the IRA, was approved by the U.S. lawmakers in August and includes a record 369 billion people. This is our money, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about, 369 billion being spent on, climate change and everything like that. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to care about this earth or else it won't be here. You want your grandkids to be able to, live a nice life like we were all afforded and everything like that. But geez, that's a lot of money. Now, on climate and energy policies. Among other aspects, it provides tax credit to consumers who buy electric cars that were made in North America. This could automatically make European-made EVs less attractive to buyers because they're likely to be more expensive. This is something that Tesla plays into a lot. This is a lot of the reason why Tesla is able to be profitable, is because they receive so many tax cuts because they're an electric car company that, getting materials and stuff like that, they get all of that at like a discount. The US even made a rule where basically you can go out and get supplies, from outside of the U.S., bring them into the U.S., and you can still, get tax deductions on those supplies, even though they had to have come from outside of the U.S. Great for EV vehicles and everything like that. But I can see how obviously if U.S. if U.S. electric car companies are able to get these tax deductions, that means that car companies in places like Europe and things like that, obviously the US cars will be cheaper because their government is helping them pay for these materials, things like that, where the European counterparts or competitors aren't getting those same opportunities. And obviously that makes them mad because without the tax cuts, they have more operating costs. With more operating costs, that means they have to sell the cars at a higher price. And what happens if you have to sell your cars at a higher price? People are less likely to buy them. If they know that they can get a Tesla for $30,000, but they got to get you know what I'm saying, an EV Mercedes for $45,000, they might just go with the Tesla because it's cheaper. Now it says we will continue to further invest into the region to achieve significant growth. This was from a Volkswagen spokesperson. As you guys know, Volkswagen is a German company, I believe. Now, some European firms have recently announced investments plans in the U.S. to benefit from the anticipated pickup demand, and more could follow suit. So, you know, Mercedes, Volkswagen, things like that, they're saying, hey, we want some of these tax cuts too. We have a large market in America. As you guys know, we love European cars over here. You pull up in the Lamborghini, you pull up in the Mercedes, you pull up in the Audi, you know what I'm saying? The girls be like, so you know, we have a large share of the European car market. So they're saying, hey, if we about to get tax deductions, why even make them over here when we can just go over to America and get some tax cuts? You know what I'm saying? And that's smart. That's good business. Now, Volkswagen has ambitious targets for the North American region. We now have a unique chance to grow profitably and to grow electric in the U.S., a spokesperson for the German company, one of the biggest car manufacturers in Europe, told CNBC via email. And now, an Italian energy firm is concentrating 85% of its 37 billion euro, which is about 40 billion. It's crazy now that the euro is actually worth more than the dollar. Just getting a little off topic here, but it's crazy. It's so weird to me to see like 37 billion is actually 40 billion, you know what I'm saying? Because it's always been swapped. So I always used to think, okay, 20 euros. I always think in my head like that's about $15 or something like that, you know? But the times are changing. And it says investments between 2023 and 2025, Italy, Spain, and the U.S. Specifically relating to public support policies, the IRA encompasses unprecedented measures on green tech, and we think it could act as a stimulus for EU to move forward in that direction in order to support a substantial scale up of renewable technologies, which are key for our continent's industry, our energy independence. A spokesperson for the company told CNBC. Now it looks like Luisa Santos, deputy detector. Oh my gosh, I'm messing up my words, guys. Guys, let me wake up. Director at Business Europe, a group of business federations, told CNBC it's still a little bit early to say he will invest where, but it's very clear some companies will invest in the U.S. in any case. I mean, it just makes sense. If it's cheaper to make your stuff in the U.S., make it in the U.S. Why do you guys think clothing companies and stuff like that go over to places like China and Asia? Why? Because they know they can get that child labor. That should be illegal, but it's not. But they know they can get it much cheaper. And if you can pay a child 15 cents as opposed to paying an adult $12, come on now. That changes your whole operation. Your operating costs are getting cut, you know what I'm saying, 80% or something crazy like that. So obviously, you know these businessmen are greedy. They don't care about them children. They just gonna do what? They gonna take like LeBron said, he took his talents to Miami. They gonna take their talents to China and go and get that cheap labor. Now it says outspending others. European officials are currently looking at relaxing state aid rules, so governments have more room to financially support key companies and sectors. So they're essentially saying, all right, U.S. is giving these tax benefits, these tax cuts. Maybe if we want to compete, maybe we're going to have to start presenting some stuff like this to our businesses if we want to keep those markets in our country. Now, the European Commission, the executive arm of the EU, is due to present a proposal in coming weeks. Obviously, we're going to be having a look at that, seeing what kind of ideas they're coming up with and everything like that. It says, but this solution may not be ideal. Countries with bigger budgets will be able to deploy more funds to poorer nations, which risk the integrity of the EU's most vaunted single market where goods and people move freely and which accounts for 44 million customers. Now, Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo, that's a cool name, told CNBC that state aid is not a good answer. He said there is a level playing field in Europe. Belgium is a small market, very open economy, and Germany is a big market. If this becomes a race of who has the deepest pockets, we're all going to lose, and it will be a subsidy war with the United States. And think about it like this too, guys. Europe, even though they have the European Union, which connects all of these European nations, they're all technically separate countries, you know what I'm saying? And they're all a lot smaller than the US. You know, the only thing that can really probably genuinely compete with the US is something like Germany, Russia, Britain, you know, but the EU is essentially a collection of small states like the US. The Europe is essentially the US, but every state is its own country, you know, and everything like that. So if one country is able to have more resources than other ones, then obviously that's going to, you know, really be, I guess you can't really call it unfair because it's just, bro, there's just the economy of your country. But when you're thinking about Europe as a whole, and this is kind of how they're thinking about it, they're thinking about as European trade. They're saying a lot of people are going to be able to capitalize on this and make these cuts, whereas a lot of countries aren't going to be able to give out those same type of offerings. Now, several other experts have raised concern about easing state aid rules. The Prime Minister, Mario Monti, told Politico Europe that this is a dangerous approach. Now, it looks like Europe's competition chief, Margaret Vestager, said, not all member states have the same fiscal space for state aid. That's a fact, and it risks the integrity of Europe. Pretty much saying that some states in Europe may be able to have the resources to do this, but a lot of them won't. Like I said, a lot of these are really small, like Belgium, places like Belgium that have good economies. They have very fair economies, but they're just not necessarily as large, you know what I'm saying, as something like Britain or the United States. That doesn't mean that they're not, you know, bringing in them dollars, because they bringing in them dollars. Think of a place like Switzerland, you know what I'm saying? They bringing in tons of dollars. It's one of the greatest places, you know, to go if you want secure banking and everything like that. But they're still a small country. They can only handle so many manufacturing plants. They can only handle so many people. And you know what I'm saying? They're just not going to be able to compete with a scale of an economy of scale like something in the United States. Now it says, in addition to challenges with state aid relaxation, timing is also a risk. European officials will discuss and decide how to provide more green incentives for the medium to long term. On one hand, some argue that current European investment programs should be redeployed towards those subsidies. But on the other hand, others argue that the bloc will need to raise fresh cash to implement such a huge project, which is probably what they would have to do, is they will have to raise money from somewhere, and obviously that will be from the citizens. And like I said, in smaller countries, there's less citizens, which means less taxes that they can receive to be able to do these projects. The US deciding to tax let's say the US decides to tax everyone 1%, that's going to be a lot more money than if Belgium was able to tax their citizens 1%. It just wouldn't even be a competition at that point. Now, it says Paolo Gentiloni. You know, I like to try to get the names. I know I'd be messing them up. And you know, I'm talking a little weird today. Now he said that there are different views on the table. He said, but I'm satisfied there's a clear intention to engage in this discussion. He said, following conversations with Germany's finance minister, Christian Lindner, who previously stated he would not support new public borrowing. So I think this is a very interesting article. I think actually, you know, for once, Joe Biden is actually making power moves as a country. I think that, you know, obviously the EU doesn't like this. Like we said, this IRA blindsided Europe. But think about what it's doing. It's making companies and businesses want to come over to the United States economy. You know what I'm saying? It's making the dollar more powerful. You know, it's making, you know, pretty much companies really have to compete, and it's making American companies and products, you know, a little bit cheaper, a little bit, you know, better for the consumer and everything like that. So Guys, I'm gonna have to give the dub to Biden. I'm gonna have to give the dub to Biden. Let me know what you guys think about this Inflation Reduction Act and everything like that. Because right now, to me, it looks like this is what a president is supposed to do. Maybe I don't know, maybe he drank some coffee that morning and he just said, I'm gonna be awake and I'm trying to turn up. You know what I'm saying, and everything like that. So I want to hear what you guys think about this. What do you guys think Europe could possibly do to fix this problem? Do you guys think that they should probably just go over to the United States and just take those tax cuts? Or should they try and find a way to implement this program, which seems like it'll be very difficult to do as they're not centralized like the US, but they're decentralized and they're, a bunch of many states, you know what I'm saying, in a certain type of way. So let me know what you guys think about that. Thanks for coming to the channel. Throw a like, comment, subscribe, everything like that. You guys have been showing a lot of support to the channel, and I appreciate that for sure. So you guys all just have a great day, and hey, Joe Biden got a win today, guys.